So this is another little review. I remember a couple years back I made these videos about the modern Sonic and Tails, and I never made a video about Eggman. So let's get to it. So Great Eastern made a modern Eggman, a character that we've been waiting for years, and I've had this plush for a very long time. I just never bothered to make a video on Eggman. So here he is, the Great Eastern Eggman. But I wanted to make a video on this plush specifically because I managed to find a good couple weeks ago now a Great Eastern Robotnik. And here's the Robotnik and the Eggman. Now I know it's kind of funny because both of these guys are technically Eggman, but we're going to specifically start off with the Great Eastern modern Eggman first and then compare him to the Robotnik plush. Since unlike Sonic and Tails, where I feel like their classic ones don't really matter, I think Eggman is one that I really needed to see because one of my biggest complaints about this plush when I first got it was how similar he looked to Robotnik. I felt like he looked too much like Robotnik than Eggman. But after finally having Robotnik, these plushes are very different. He does follow the Eggman, you know, the basis of Eggman being slightly slimmer, a different shape in the mustache. But there are some things about this plush that does fail. There are some things about this plushie I'm not the biggest fan of. Now, Eggman is very similar to Robotnik, but the plush itself is decent. It's not really the best Eggman plush out there, in my opinion. It's fine. His arms were actually stitched onto the side like this, which made him look pretty damn bad, in my opinion. I was not the biggest fan of that, but I just kind of snipped them so you can move it. It looks a bit better like this, but I do think his arms are a bit too tiny. First off, let's start off with his body. He's built like an egg. That is indeed accurate. He is supposed to be built like an egg, so he got the egg shape going on. Another thing is that his body is just completely printed all around. All the detail on Eggman is printed. It's not like overlaid or anything, which makes it look, I want to say, a bit more lazy, sadly. Even the little circle dots here are also just printed. The only thing that isn't printed are the detail on his shoes that are actually stitched with different fabric compared to his arms, which I really wish like this was the quality going all the way around the plush. And of course, like, he has the little emblem on the side of his shoes, which at least they didn't print these on, so at least that's good to know. Which is, of course, the face of Eggman. He got the mustache, the sinister smile, the nose, the goggles, the glasses. He has all the details to be Eggman. But I think he's a bad plush, especially comparing him to Robotnik. And I feel like that's crazy. Like, what the hell? I don't really notice it from the camera, but Robotnik is actually significantly bigger than Eggman. I don't know if that's canon or not. When you compare him to his classic counterpart, Robotnik just has more effort than Eggman, which I'm not really the biggest fan of Eggman, and Robotnik is one of the main reasons why. Really doesn't have too much going on here. But he has his proportions, right? Like, okay, he got the skinny legs. That's very fitting for Robotnik. He actually has sleeves on the Robotnik plush. This guy actually has sleeves, which is crazy to believe that they actually gave Eggman arms. And then he also has little sleeves, so his arms look a lot bigger than they actually are. And he also has his full cape. He has the cape on here completely all the way around, and his mouth is a lot better on this one. Even though he's frowning on the Robotnik plush and the back of the mustache is red, it's generally pretty dang good. But Eggman, on the other hand, his proportions are very small. Like, when you compare this arm to Eggman and then grab Robotnik for comparison, even with normally, like, even with the sleeves, it's smaller than Robotnik's arms. But even then, they didn't add the effort with the sleeves here. I think this would have made this plush look a lot better if he actually had like full-fledged sleeves on. Like I said earlier, the entire thing on him is just completely printed. Everything, all the detail, it's super lazy, especially when you compare it to Robotnik over there, which doesn't have any real printing whatsoever. They just printed the entire plush. And his limbs are just very small. Like, I think if he had bigger arms, thicker thicker arms, thicker legs, maybe this Eggman could have looked a bit better, especially comparing him to like other plushes of Eggman. Wing all the way, like it's literally just coming out of his neck. I think his arms should have been a bit more down here, where this little egg, like down here, they should have moved the arms a bit more down and make them a bit thicker. But another thing that's missing on Eggman is his eyebrows. I get it's very weird. I get it's really weird saying that. Eggman doesn't have eyebrows. He does. Eggman very much is prominent for having very unique facial structures with his little eyebrows here. And it's one of the main details that makes Eggman and Robotnik very different. Every plush of Eggman in the past has at least had some kind of eyebrow details. And this one doesn't have that whatsoever. And it's really noticeable. And when you compare this plush to the Jakks-specific Eggman, which Jakks actually made plushes of Robotnik and Eggman. And Robotnik here, or I guess Eggman, is still pretty much printed in every way, but this isn't really a review of this guy. But you can see that Robotnik here, aka Eggman, he has the differences in the face. The main thing is the eyebrows. He has eyebrows. Every plush of Eggman has eyebrows, and the Great Eastern one doesn't. Another prime example is the body. Like, yes, Eggman is still smaller than Robotnik. You know, he's still smaller, but it's a gradually difference, right? Like, Robotnik is obviously a lot fatter than Eggman. Eggman obviously, you know, lost some weight in the modern era. And with this plush, the Eggman plush is still just as big as Robotnik in terms of body, except this one's a bit more egg-shaped compared to this one, which is a bit more round. Which, when you compare Eggman and Robotnik together, it's something that really makes this plush look off. Not really the biggest fan of the Great Eastern modern Eggman. And I just feel like this plush could have been so much better, because this guy looks more like Robotnik than Eggman very quickly than I normally do. But I feel like for a plush of Eggman, I feel like the Jakks-specific one captures the look of Eggman better than the Great Eastern plush, which this one does the same thing. Like, yeah, this one's a lot cheaper, but this one's a $9 plush, and this one is at least like 30, maybe even 20 bucks. So I don't really think that Jakks should have the better looking Eggman. I do hope Great Eastern can make a new Eggman, but they actually made an egg carrier Eggman plush. I want to say an idea, like, okay, Eggman in an egg carrier is actually a really good idea, but where are his arms? And why does it look like someone drew on it with Sharpie?